frame core feedback as probing questions that allows, and I don't want to read that part. The presenter will reflect on their plan. We really want them to reflect how things could have maybe been done differently to hone in on these questions better, is really what we're looking at.
I wondered if they could have added in the rubric the technology and the human interaction, because that wasn't.
Okay, on a second that.
I wondered how it could have been, extended for the gifted students.
I agree, in the on level and below level.
Oops.
How might technology come in, or some other way of helping our LD students in regards to, do they write all their cards, do they have to write everything down, or is there a way that they have of explaining differently without having to write it all down, because that's important.
And could they have used other media? Could they have maybe offered them a chance to create it a different way?
On element B, I was wondering if, they could have included weathering and how they were talking about how, erosion and so forth impacts the organisms through these different types of destructive.
Any other feedback, focusing on those targeting questions. Anything else that you can think of, really, you wanna really stretch and think, tear those questions apart, than anything else.
Because I'm wondering, when I see just standard, again, the technology and human intervention part, are students getting a little, are they getting it clear that it's not just the surface features? Are they getting the fact that they have to have all this other too to align with that standard? Is that the whole standard?
Right, it doesn't seem to be that all the elements are being met. It's the standard, but then you have all the elements you have to make sure that are being taken care of in the standard. Like with the, question from the milestones, it talked about where they would wanna know, why would we want to use technology to forecast disasters and so forth, because of protecting humans or whatever, so we have to have these types of jobs to be able to kind of forecast what may happen to help others. And that needs to make sure that's addressed and that the students understand that how important these jobs are.
references to what the mountain, the canyon, the delta near the mouth of the river, the pool at the bottom, the deposition on it, are they getting a real good vision of what that is? And then how is that with the LD students?
And an extension of that, we have a lot of good places nearby that's not, that's within a couple hours from us that could be some good examples of these features. Field trips and so forth. Like Providence Canyon.
Anything else? All right. Now, I've heard everything that you have said, and we have some great information. At this time, we're going to look over the information that you have provided, and at this time, you'll just listen. You won't give any feedback or you won't talk. And I will look at what you have provided, and I will talk through these points to reflect upon what has been provided. As far as warm feedback goes, you know, they definitely were able to identify the different surface features, having a good understanding of the landforms. That was obvious through the project that they completed. They did describe the landform because they had to give definitions. Some of them did. Most of them did, like index cards and just kind of wrote what a mountain was, you know, those types of things. And students told constructive or deconstruct. That was big because, I mean, that's a major part of that standard. If you don't even know what these two are, then you definitely are not going to even know what the different landforms, which one forms which. So that is great. Cool feedback. See, you gave me a lot of great feedback as to what I could do, and along with my 5th grade teachers, what we could do as a unit to improve this assignment. So let's look here. Could technology be added to the rubric? Yeah, technology could be added. I think one of the, didn't take that into consideration. And maybe I missed that when I made this assignment. I think technology is a big part of that standard. So, my team and I, we need to definitely, look at that. So that is great. How could it be extended for gifted, above and below? That is phenomenal. We have a huge student with disability population. We have EL students. We have speech students. So I didn't think about that. This project, it could be completed in multiple ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a project. What about, I don't know, who knows? Maybe a rap. Could they do a rap? Could they? So thinking in other terms of how can we make sure that we're reaching the needs of all of our kids and not making everybody do a project, So didn't think about that. That's good. What modifications for LD students? Once again, you have to keep those students in mind. Didn't necessarily think about that. Could this assignment could it have been adjusted? Could I collaborate with my special ed teacher and we could make some type of accommodations or modifications for those students because they do have an IEP. So that's great feedback there. Could they be offered another way? Didn't think about that. So that's great. Erosion, item B standard could be covered differently. It's all elements being covered. So what I hear that you are telling me is that we need to make sure that we deconstruct our standards and really make sure that we are honing in on every part of that standard. So that is great. Does the task prepare students for milestone based on task given? So what I'm hearing the feedback that you're giving me is that we need to make sure that as we make assessments, and in this case, this was a culminating activity because that was at the end of the standard. That's what they wanted students to do. Does that standard necessarily, is it going to meet the rigor of that milestone? Yeah and no, so we definitely need to make sure as we make assessments to keep that in mind. So that's great there as well. Are students getting a true understanding of these features? Great question. I think, not sure if I know in one standard I can remember as I look back that Delta, and the students had to define the words. Delta should have definitely been one of the words that they had to define because that was one of the examples on the milestone. So, and that's an actual word in the standard that needs to be addressed. So that's something that we need to make sure we address as well. So, great feedback there. All right, definitely great feedback. Now, at this time, what we want you to do is we're going to give you about 3 minutes. We want you to jot down your learning experiences from this activity. Take about 3 minutes and jot down everything that you learned. Then we're going to share. All right, we're going to share and we'll record your information. So take about 3 minutes and just jot down some things that you learned from this activity. What you learned and what will you take away and implement? Add that in there too. So what can you take away from this activity and implement in your classroom and as you plan together? All right, let's go ahead and start sharing. Ms. Wilkes?
I just said the process of how you're wanting us to deconstruct the standard.
Okay. So looking at, really knowing that standard and breaking it down and making sure it's addressed. All right, Ms. Lott?
Consider different ways, and you could give more than one assessment. That could have been a grade assessment, and then you could have had another assessment to whoever stepped the C part of it wasn't.
Like, mine was spelled like theirs, and then I also look at other media to reach all styles of learning and answering questions and getting their answers.
Okay.
Also keep all
What else?
cultures in mind as we're preparing. this.
Keep all cultures, okay.
Cultures in mind as we're preparing assessments, because we're getting in different cultures more and more.
Cultural awareness with lesson plan, those types of things. Ms. Wilkes, what else? What's rumbling over there? Ms. Lott? Anything else? All right, well, thank you all so much. I think that with this activity, we definitely all can take away some great things, and definitely one thing that it does is it helps to it helps to deepen everyone's understanding. And this is definitely a protocol that we will be using. Each grade level will be using it, and we'll be able to use it with different activities, not just assessments. You can do it with lesson planning. You can do it with, and it'll just brings some structure and guidance to planning, and we're not just bouncing all over the place. It's very focused, it's very time oriented, and we're able to get things done. Well, I do thank you for your time, and that concludes our tuning protocol session.